She was just trying to pay her rent that month. That's all, nothing more, nothing less. When she picked up that extra shift at the restaurant, she didn't know it would change everything. You know how life works, don't you? You wake up, you hustle, you survive. You tell yourself tomorrow will be different, but tomorrow looks exactly like today. Bills pile up. Dreams get smaller. Hope becomes a luxury you can't afford. She was 23 and already tired, already wondering if this was all there was to life. Serving tables, fake smiles, counting tips that never quite added up to enough. The man at table 7 looked ordinary. Grey hair, reading glasses, eating alone. Nothing special, nothing that would make you look twice. But sometimes the most extraordinary moments come wrapped in the most ordinary packages. What makes someone stop and truly see another person? What invisible thread connects two strangers across a crowded room? She refilled his coffee 3 times. Each time, he watched her work, not in a creepy way, in a way that made her wonder what he was thinking. Like he was solving a puzzle only he could see. Have you ever felt like you were being tested without knowing it? Like the universe was watching, waiting to see what you would do? When the restaurant got slammed during the dinner rush, she didn't complain. She just moved faster. When a customer yelled at her for something that wasn't her fault, she apologized anyway. When her feet screamed and her back ached, she kept smiling. He noticed everything, the way she helped the new server who was drowning, the way she calmed an angry customer with kindness instead of matching their energy, the way she cleaned tables that weren't even in her section because she saw they needed it. You think nobody sees your small acts of goodness. You think they don't matter. But what if someone is always watching? What if your character is being revealed in those moments when you think nobody cares? She didn't know he owned 12 restaurants across the country. She didn't know he'd built an empire from nothing, starting exactly where she was now. She didn't know he was looking for something specific that night. All she knew was that table 7 needed more coffee, and she was going to make sure he got it with a smile. Life has a funny way of disguising opportunities as ordinary moments. The question is, are you ready to recognize them when they appear? The next night, she wasn't even supposed to work, but Melissa called in sick and the manager was desperate. She needed the money anyway. Rent was due in 5 days. You know that feeling when you're so tired that tired doesn't even describe it anymore? When your body moves on autopilot because your mind checked out hours ago? That's where she was. Table 7 was empty at first. Then, at exactly 7 p.m., he walked in again. Same grey hair, same reading glasses, same quiet way of observing everything around him. She brought him a menu, but he waved it away. Just coffee, he said, and whatever the special is. For 2 hours, he sat there, watching. Not just her, but the entire restaurant. The way the kitchen flowed, the way servers communicated, the way problems were solved or ignored. Like he was studying a living organism, understanding its rhythms and weaknesses. What do you think successful people see that others miss? What patterns are invisible to you but obvious to them? During the rush, everything went wrong. The kitchen crashed, orders backed up. A server quit mid-shift, throwing down her apron and walking out. Chaos, pure chaos. But she didn't panic. She took charge without being asked. She jumped into the kitchen, helped plate food. She covered 3 sections instead of 1. She turned disaster into mere difficulty through sheer force of will. Have you ever wondered if your worst moments might actually be your best opportunities? If the times you want to quit are exactly when you should push harder? He made notes in a small leather notebook, quick scratches of pen on paper. She wondered what he was writing but was too busy to care. When things finally calmed down, she brought him his check. He looked at it, then at her. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sarah," she said, exhausted but still professional. "Sarah," he repeated like he was filing it away. "You handled that beautifully tonight. If you're reading this right now, I want you to understand something. Your character isn't built in the easy moments. It's forged in the fire of difficulty. And someone, somewhere, is taking notes." The third night she saw him before he saw her. Same table, same time, same coffee order. But this time, she noticed something different. He wasn't alone. A younger man sat across from him. Expensive suit, expensive watch, expensive attitude. His son, maybe? The body language screamed family. You can tell a lot about people by how they treat those who can do nothing for them. Remember that. The younger man was rude, dismissive. He snapped his fingers at her like she was a dog, complained about everything. The coffee was too hot, then too cold. The food was too slow, then clearly rushed. Nothing satisfied him. She handled it with grace. Every insult absorbed, every demand met with professionalism. She dealt with worse, much worse, but the older man watched it all with an expression she couldn't read. Disappointment, evaluation, something deeper. "Dad, why do you keep coming to this dump?" the younger man said, loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. "We have reservations at La Bernardin tomorrow. This is beneath you." The father's response was quiet. She only caught fragments as she passed. Something about remembering where you came from. Something about the real world. Something about lessons that can't be taught in boardrooms. What lessons do you think privilege steals from us? What wisdom does struggle provide that comfort never can? When they left, the younger man didn't tip. The father left a $100 bill under his coffee cup, but it was the note beside it that stopped her cold. "I see you," it said, nothing more. 3 words. But sometimes 3 words can feel like a key turning in a lock you didn't know existed. She folded the note carefully and put it in her pocket. For the rest of her shift, she felt it there. A small weight, a tiny mystery, a possibility she couldn't name. Have you ever received a message that felt like it was meant for more than just that moment? Like someone was telling you something your soul had been waiting to hear? That night she walked home wondering what it meant, wondering if she was reading too much into it, wondering if hope was just another way to be disappointed. But deep down in that place where truth lives, she knew something had shifted. She just didn't know what yet. Saturday night, the restaurant was packed. Every table full, wait times stretching past an hour. The kind of night where everything could go wrong usually did. She almost missed the envelope. It was tucked under the salt shaker at table 7, her name written across it in careful handwriting. No one sat there yet. The host said the reservation was for 8 p.m., still an hour away. Do you open it? Do you wait? What would you do when curiosity burns like fire in your chest? She slipped into the break room, heart pounding. Inside the envelope, a single sheet of paper. Expensive paper. The kind that whispers money with every fiber. "Sarah," it began, "I've been watching you work. Not in the way that should concern you, but in the way someone recognizes a rare talent being wasted. You have something most people can't learn. You have it naturally." Her hands shook slightly. She read on. "I own several restaurants. I started where you are now, 30 years ago. I know what it feels like to be invisible, to work harder than everyone and have no one notice, but I noticed." The break room door opened. Her manager stuck his head in. "Sarah, I need you on the floor. Now." She folded the letter quickly, shoving it in her pocket unread, but those words followed her. "I noticed." When was the last time someone had really noticed her? You carry invisible weight every day. You think your struggles are yours alone, but what if someone sees? What if your persistence is being catalogued by eyes you never expected? The dinner rush hit like a tsunami. But she moved differently now. Each step had purpose. Each smile held possibility. She wasn't just serving food anymore. She was auditioning for a future she couldn't yet imagine. At exactly 8 p.m. he arrived, table 7. But this time he gestured for her to sit. "I can't," she said. "I'm working." "5 minutes," he said. "Your manager won't mind. I already asked." Have you ever stood at the edge of before and after? That moment when you know your life is about to split into 2 distinct parts. She sat. Think about this moment. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their hard work isn't invisible. Subscribe if you believe that sometimes life rewards those who keep going when everyone else quits. Do you know what makes a great chef? He asked. She shook her head. The question seemed to come from nowhere. It's not about knife skills or recipes. Anyone can learn those. It's about reading people. Understanding what they need before they know they need it, anticipating problems, creating experiences, not just meals. His eyes held hers, kind but serious, the eyes of someone who'd built something from nothing. You do that naturally. I've watched you for a week. You read the room like a chess master. You solve problems before they become disasters. You treat everyone with dignity even when they don't deserve it. Where does grace come from? Is it born from pain or despite it? I don't understand, she said. I'm just a waitress. No, he said firmly. You're a leader who happens to be waiting tables. There's a difference. He pulled out another envelope, thicker this time. Inside is an offer, a real one. 6 months of training at my flagship restaurant. Full salary while you learn. If you succeed, you'll run your own kitchen within 2 years. The world tilted. She couldn't breathe properly. But I'm not a chef. I don't even cook professionally. Neither did I when I started. But I had someone who saw something in me, someone who took a chance. Now I'm paying it forward. You know that voice in your head right now? The one listing all the reasons you're not ready, all the ways you'll fail? That voice is lying to you. Why me? She whispered. Because you helped Marcy last week when she was drowning. Because you gave your tips to Jake when his kid was sick. Because you stayed late to help close, even though you weren't asked. Because when my son disrespected you, you maintained dignity. He'd seen everything, every small choice, every tiny kindness. Success isn't just about talent, he continued. It's about character. Skills can be taught, character can't. The restaurant noise faded around them. This moment, this exact moment, everything before had led here. Everything after would flow from here. I need an answer by tomorrow night, he said, standing. Read the offer, think about it, but don't think too long. Opportunity has an expiration date. What would you do when the door you've been pushing against suddenly swings open? Do you walk through or do you hesitate? She didn't sleep that night. How could she? The envelope sat on her kitchen table like a living thing, pulsing with possibility. Her apartment was small, cramped, water stains on the ceiling, neighbors who fought at 3 a.m., the kind of place that reminded you daily of everything you hadn't achieved yet. You know these walls, don't you? The ones that feel like they're closing in, the ones that whisper, "This is all you'll ever have." She opened the envelope at 4 a.m. The offer was more than generous, it was transformative. A salary 3 times what she made now, housing assistance, mentorship, a path laid out step by step, but also long hours, brutal training, starting over in a world she didn't understand, the possibility of failure. Her phone buzzed, a text from her mom. "Can you help with the electric bill this month?" They're threatening to shut it off. This is how dreams die, not in grand gestures but in small obligations, not from lack of courage but from abundance of responsibility. She made coffee with the last of her grounds, sat by the window watching the city wake up, thought about every morning she'd done this, wondering if anything would ever change. What anchors you to your current life? What would you have to release to grab something better? Her shift started at noon. She arrived early, the letter tucked in her bag. Every familiar sight felt different now. The cracked tiles in the entrance, the smell of industrial cleaner, the bulletin board with its sad collection of thank you cards. "You look tired," Marcy said. Marcy, who she'd helped last week. Marcy, who had 3 kids and a husband who'd left. Marcy, who never complained, even though life gave her every reason to. "Didn't sleep well," Sarah said. "Story of our lives." Marcy laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. This is the hardest part about moving forward. The people you leave behind aren't just colleagues, they're fellow soldiers in the same endless war against not enough. The lunch rush came and went. She moved through it mechanically, her mind elsewhere. What would they think if she left? Would they see it as betrayal or inspiration? He didn't come at 7 p.m., 7:15, 7:30. By 8 she was certain she'd dreamed the whole thing. Maybe this was the real test. Maybe he wanted to see if she'd keep working hard even when the promise evaporated. Do you give up when the universe makes you wait, or do you understand that timing is part of the lesson? At 8:47, he walked in. No apology for being late, no explanation, just walked to table 7 like he owned time itself. She brought coffee without being asked. Her hands steady, despite the earthquake inside. "I have questions," she said. "Good. Someone who doesn't have questions isn't thinking hard enough. What if I fail? Then you'll fail forward. You'll know more than you know now. You'll be closer to who you're supposed to become." Can you hear the wisdom in that? How many opportunities have you rejected because failure was possible? What about the people here? They need me. "No," he said gently, "they need this job. You need more than this job can give you. There's a difference between being helpful and being stuck." The truth of it hit like cold water. How many times had she used other people's needs as an excuse to avoid her own growth? "I'm scared," she admitted. "Good. Fear means you're about to do something that matters. Comfortable people don't change the world. Scared people who do it anyway, they're the ones who matter." He pulled out his phone, showed her photos, his restaurants, kitchens that looked like operating rooms, dining rooms that breathed elegance, food that looked like art. "I started as a dishwasher," he said. "Couldn't even afford to eat the food I was cleaning off plates. But I watched, I learned, I waited for my moment. When it came, I was ready." "How did you know you were ready?" "I didn't. Nobody ever is. Ready is a lie we tell ourselves to stay safe. Right now, someone reading this is waiting to be ready. Stop waiting. Ready doesn't exist. There's only willing or unwilling." She looked around the restaurant, at Marcy struggling with 6 tables, at the new kid messing up orders, at her manager stressed about inventory. This was her world, her comfortable, predictable, slowly killing her world. "When would I start?" "Monday. 2 days to wrap up your life here. 2 days to decide who you want to become. 2 days. 48 hours. 2,180 minutes to change everything or nothing." "Yes," she said. The word came from somewhere deeper than thought. From that place where your real voice lives, the one that knows what you need before your mind catches up. He smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him. "I knew you would. The moment I saw you help that old woman count her change last week, you could have been impatient. You chose kindness. That's when I knew. Every small choice you make is painting a picture of who you are. Someone is watching. Someone is noting. Your character is your resume. Like this video if you believe in the power of taking chances. Subscribe if you know that sometimes saying yes to fear is saying yes to life. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their moment is coming. 2 days isn't long to end one life and begin another." She gave notice. Her manager cursed, then pleaded, then wished her well. The cycle of resignation. Marcy cried. "Don't forget us when you're famous," she said. "I'm going to be a trainee chef, not a celebrity," Sarah laughed. "Same thing from where I'm standing. You forget how small your dreams look to people whose dreams have been crushed. You forget that your step forward can look like a leap to someone standing still." She packed her apartment. Not much to pack, really. When you don't have much, leaving is easier. Or maybe that's just what we tell ourselves. Her mother didn't understand. You have a steady job. Why risk it for something that might not work? How do you explain hunger to someone who's learned to live with crumbs? How do you describe the ocean to someone who's never left the desert? "Because I have to try," was all she could say. Sunday night, last shift. She worked it like every other because that's who she was. Excellence wasn't something she turned on for special occasions. It was her default setting. He came in at closing time, sat at table 7-1 last time. Nervous? Terrified? Good. Use it. Fear is just energy waiting for direction. He handed her a card. Call this number when you get to the city. They'll have everything ready. Apartment, uniforms, everything. Why are you doing this? Really? He was quiet for a long moment. When I was 25, I was homeless, sleeping in my car, working 3 jobs and still couldn't make it work. A chef named Marcus gave me a chance. Taught me everything. When I asked him why, he said, because someone did it for me. The chain of kindness, each person lifting the next. Is there anything more powerful? Marcus died 5 years ago, he continued. At his funeral, I counted 47 chefs who owed their careers to him. 47 lives changed because one man decided to see potential instead of problems. And now I have 12 restaurants and 63 chefs who started like you. 63 and counting. She felt the weight of joining something bigger than a job, a legacy, a tradition of transformation. What if I let you down? Then you'll try again, or you'll do something else, but you'll do it with the knowledge that someone believed in you. That changes how you see yourself forever. Do you understand what he's really saying? That the gift isn't the opportunity, it's the belief. It's knowing that someone saw something in you worth investing in. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp, he said, standing. The address is on the card. Don't be late. She watched him leave. This man who'd changed her life by simply paying attention, by seeing what others missed, by choosing to act on what he saw. Monday morning came like a birth, painful, messy, irreversible. The train ride to the city took 3 hours. 3 hours to think about everything she was leaving, everyone she was disappointing, every safe choice she wasn't making. You know this feeling, the one where moving forward feels like betrayal, where growth feels like selfishness, where your dreams feel too expensive for someone like you. The restaurant was nothing like where she'd worked. Glass and steel and precision, chefs moving like dancers. Orders called out in a language she didn't speak yet. You must be Sarah, a woman said. Chef whites so clean they hurt to look at. I'm Elena, I'll be training you. Elena was maybe 30. Scars on her hands from years of knife work. Eyes that missed nothing, the kind of person who'd earned every inch of respect she commanded. First rule, Elena said, forget everything you think you know. Second rule, work harder than you think you can. Third rule, when you want to quit, remember why you started. The kitchen was a symphony of controlled chaos. 20 people moving in perfect synchronization, each station a universe unto itself, and her standing there like a tourist in a foreign country. We start with onions, Elena said. Thousands of onions. You'll cut until your hands move without your brain, until precision becomes instinct. Is there dignity in starting over? Is there strength in admitting you know nothing? The first day destroyed her, not just physically, though her feet screamed and her back ached in new ways, but mentally, emotionally. Everything she'd been good at in her old job meant nothing here. You're thinking too much, Elena said, watching her fumble with basic cuts. Stop trying to be perfect. Start trying to be better than you were 5 minutes ago. By the end of the shift, she'd cut approximately 1 million onions, maybe 2 million. Her eyes burned, her hands shook, her confidence lay in pieces smaller than her dice. Terrible, Elena said, examining her work, but terrible with potential. I can work with that. She stumbled to her new apartment. It was small but clean, a bed, a desk, a window that faced other windows. But it was hers, part of this new life she was building, one onion at a time. What have you been willing to be terrible at in order to eventually be great? What pride have you swallowed in service of your growth? She called her mother, tried to explain how hard it was, how different, how scary. Then come home, her mother said. Your job is probably still available. The escape hatch, always there, always tempting, the soft landing that would cushion her fall, but also limit her flight. Not yet, she said. I haven't given it a real chance yet. 6 weeks in, she wanted to quit every single day. The alarm at 4 a.m. was a daily enemy. The subway ride in the dark felt like descent into some culinary underworld. But something was changing. Her hands moved faster. Her cuts became uniform. The language of the kitchen started making sense. Better, Elena would say. Never good, always better, because good was a destination and better was a journey. You learn things about yourself when you're pushed past your limits. You learn that your limits were lies. You told yourself to stay comfortable. She watched the senior chefs work, studied them like holy texts. The way they tasted with their whole body, the way they could tell temperature by sound, the way they built flavors like architects build buildings. Cooking isn't about recipes, Eleanor told her. It's about understanding. Why does this react with that? What happens when heat meets protein? What does salt actually do besides make things salty? Chemistry, physics, art, psychology. All of it happening on a plate. 3 months in, she was allowed to work the appetizer station during lunch service. Real customers, real food, real consequences. Her first plate came back, under-seasoned. Her 10th plate came back, overcooked. Her 50th plate came back clean. Progress, Elena said. One word that felt like a medal. What small victories are you overlooking in your own journey? What progress are you refusing to see because it doesn't look like perfection? The owner came by during service. The man from table 7. He watched her work, said nothing, left. He does that, another chef said, checking on his investments. Investment, that's what she was. Not charity, not pity. Investment. Someone believed she would yield returns. 4 months in, she created her first special, a twist on something her grandmother used to make. Comfort food elevated, memory transformed into technique. It sold out during lunch. Now you're thinking like a chef, Elena said, taking what you know and making it more. That night she called her mother. I think I'm actually doing this, she said. I still don't understand why, her mother replied. But there was something new in her voice, not quite pride, but maybe the beginning of it. 6 months ended with an evaluation. She sat across from the owner in his office. The same man who'd watched her serve coffee, who'd seen something she couldn't see in herself. Elena says you're ready for the next level, he said. I don't feel ready. You never will. That's the point. Growth happens in the space between ready and required. He pulled out a folder. There's an opening. Sous chef position at our Brooklyn location. Smaller restaurant, more responsibility. Your own kitchen to run during lunch service. Her own kitchen. The words felt impossible. 6 months ago she was refilling coffee. Now they wanted her to lead? Can you imagine the imposter syndrome? The voice screaming that you don't belong. That voice is always loudest right before breakthrough. The head chef there is tough, he continued. Marcus, he'll push you harder than Elena did, but if you can handle him, you can handle anything. Marcus. The name stopped her cold. The same Marcus who... No, his son, named after the man who saved me. He's got his father's gift for seeing potential and his own gift for demanding excellence. The chain continuing, generation after generation, each one lifting the next. When? Next Monday, same deal. Apartment included. 20% raise. And Sarah? He leaned forward. This is where it gets real. Everything until now has been preparation. This is where you find out if you're a chef or just someone who can follow recipes. She thought about her old restaurant, wondered who was covering her tables, if they'd fixed the broken tile in the entrance, if Marcy was still managing 6 tables and a breaking heart. I'll take it, she said. I knew you would. You're not the type to stop climbing just because you can see how high you are. That night, she stood on her fire escape, city lights spreading like possibilities in every direction. She wasn't the same person who'd taken that extra shift 6 months ago. That person was gone, replaced by someone harder, stronger, more capable than she'd ever imagined possible. Your old self has to die for your new self to be born. Are you willing to let go of who you were to become who you could be? She thought about table 7, about coffee refills and $100 tips and notes that said, "I see you." About how one person's attention had changed everything. Tomorrow, she'd pack again, move again, start over again. But this time, she wasn't running from something. She was running toward it. 2 years later, she stood in her own kitchen, not as sous chef, not as someone's assistant, as head chef of a restaurant that bore her name. The journey from that first onion to this moment had been brutal. Marcus had pushed her past breaking, then taught her how to rebuild stronger. She'd failed 1,000 times, succeeded 1,001. But now, she was the one watching. The one taking notes, the one looking for that spark in someone else's eyes. The girl applying for the server position was 22, tired eyes, determined jaw, working 3 jobs and still drowning. A familiar story. "Why do you want to work here?" Sarah asked. "I need the money," the girl said, then quieter, "and I need to believe there's more than just surviving." Do you remember that feeling? When hope feels like a luxury you can't afford, when dreams feel like lies you tell yourself? Sarah hired her on the spot, watched her work that first week, saw the same things the owner had seen in her. The anticipation, the grace under pressure, the kindness when no one was counting. On the 7th night, Sarah sat at table 7. Same time he used to come. She'd bought this location specifically because it had a table 7, because symbols matter, because remembering where you came from matters. She wrote a note on expensive paper, tucked it under the salt shaker, waited. The girl found it during her shift. Sarah watched her read it in the break room through the security camera, watched her hands shake, watched her fold it carefully and put it in her pocket. What did the note say? The same thing his had said. "I see you," but also something more, something she'd learned in 2 years of becoming. Your story isn't about where you are, it's about where you're going, and someone believes you're going somewhere extraordinary. The cycle continues, the chain extends, each person lifting the next. Each small act of faith creating ripples that spread farther than we can see. That night, the girl served every table like it was her audition for a bigger life. Because it was. Because every shift is. Because someone is always watching, waiting to discover the extraordinary in the ordinary. Sarah thought about her old manager, about Marcy, about her mother who now understood, about everyone who'd said she was crazy to take the chance. They weren't wrong. It was crazy, but the best things always are. She thought about him. The man who'd changed her life with attention and action. He died 6 months ago, heart attack at his desk. But his legacy lived in every kitchen he'd staffed with dreamers, in every chance he'd taken on someone society had written off. At his funeral, she'd counted them. 137 chefs, all of them with the same story. He saw something in me. He gave me a chance. He changed my life. 137 lives transformed because one man decided to pay attention, to act on what he saw, to believe that potential matters more than pedigree. Now it was her turn, her responsibility, her privilege. The girl finished her shift, came to Sarah's office as the note had instructed. "I don't understand," she said. "You will," Sarah promised. "But first, let me ask you something. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?" The girl's eyes widened. In them, Sarah saw herself 2 years ago, scared, hungry, ready for more than survival. "Everything," the girl whispered. "Good," Sarah said. "Then let's begin." This is how the world changes, not in grand gestures but in small acts of faith, not through programs but through people, not by waiting for permission but by giving it. Someone saw potential in you once. Maybe you didn't even know it. Maybe it was a teacher who pushed harder, a friend who believed deeper, a stranger who helped without being asked. Your job isn't just to receive that gift, it's to pass it on, to see what others miss, to believe what others doubt, to invest what others won't risk, because somewhere someone is waiting tables and dreaming of more. Somewhere, someone is one chance away from changing everything. Somewhere, someone needs exactly what you have to give. The question is, will you see them? Will you act? Will you be the table 7 in someone else's story? Your life is not just about what you achieve. It's about who you lift. It's about the chain you extend. It's about the legacy you leave in lives transformed. Like this video if you believe in the power of seeing potential in others. Subscribe to join a community that understands success isn't just about rising. It's about lifting others as you climb. Share this with someone who needs to know their table 7 moment is coming. And remember, someone is watching. Someone believes. Someone sees you. Your moment isn't just coming. If you're brave enough to take it, it's already here.